Hello and welcome back to another video from 55 Degrees North and to episode 25 of your fortnightly Newcastle upon Tyne construction and restoration update video. Coming up in this week's video, we'll be visiting all the usual sites including Pottery Lane and Pilgrim Place, among many others. I also have news on a new project if it gets off the ground for a very run-down part of the city centre, and a roundup of all the smaller projects going on in the city right now. So let's dive right in and see what's changed since 2 weeks ago. This week, starting on Ellison Place at the new North East Space Skills and Technology Centre. Looking around, the first thing you notice is a lot of steelwork has been erected since the last video 2 weeks ago. Across other areas of the site, there's plenty of steel beams lying on the ground waiting to be fitted over the next few days. Looking across the other side, it's pretty much the same as the last video, and we also have sheets of steel waiting to be fitted for the floors. Moving on down to the biggest building project going on in the city right now, the new His Majesty's Revenue and Customs building. On the corner of John Dobson Street and Market Street, work to install the windows and the panels is nearing completion on the upper parts of the building. Around on John Dobson Street itself, work to fill in the gap is still ongoing, with all the window frames now fitted, and you can see the suspended ceiling gets closer to the edge of the building on every floor from bottom to top. And you can also see what looks like is going to be an entrance or emergency exit being built around this side of the building. Around on New Bridge Street side, they have started paving the area and what looks like could be plant holders with seating areas. Plus you get a good view of the inside from round here. You also get a good view from Collier Square, where you can see the new build stands way above the height of the original Collier House fascia. Down at the Pilgrim Place development at Collier Square, looking across the site, you can see the progress which has been made in the last couple of weeks, with a lot of work being done right across the whole site. You can see the start of a new concrete wall being built along the underground floors, with a lot more steel reinforcement being laid right across the front end. On the Warwick Street side, you can see more reinforcement has been installed right down the whole length of the street, ready to be encased in concrete. Moving along to Pottery Lane, where they're building the newer parking blocks. Looking from the Newcastle Bridge, you do get a good view across the whole area and can see just how big the project really is. Looking across the floors, they are near on the top of the core lift shaft on Building 1. And as I said in the last video, I think Building 2 will top out before Building 1, with that only having a couple of floors left to go. Moving down onto Pottery Lane itself, you can see work at the bottom of the buildings is progressing well, with scaffolding now being erected to Building 1, and you can see also internal fittings ready to be fitted on the inside. Along at Building 2, the first few bits of cladding have now been fitted. Around at the new students' accommodation on St James's Boulevard, work round the back is almost complete, with the final few bits of cladding to be fitted. Around the front, the final few bits of cladding have been installed, with the canopy above the door still waiting to be finished, and some new gates and decorative cladding have been fitted down the bottom end of the site. Across the road at St James's Metro Station, where they are fitting new advertisement boards. It's the same story as 2 weeks ago, with very little or no work done at all. Up on Lees's Park Road, work on the new student accommodation is progressing well, with lots of work being done across the whole site, with the retaining wall being built towards the back end, and a lot more steel reinforcement installed across many other areas. You can also see a wall being built along the side and prefabricated stairs waiting to be fitted, and the old building at the front has been totally gutted and some new wooden floors are being installed. Moving up to Castle Leazes at the demolition of the former students' accommodation. Just before I start with this site, I've had a few comments of viewers not knowing where exactly Castle Leazes is. Well, here's some drone footage to give you an idea. It's just up from St James's Park and Leazes Park and across the road from the RVI Hospital off Richardson Road. So the first thing you can see, that the whole site has now been demolished in preparation for the new students' village to take shape, with only the last remaining brickwork to be crushed and broken up. And the pile gets bigger every time I'm here. Hopefully this will start to shrink now the demolition is complete. Moving on up to the West Road and to the new Health and Innovation neighbourhood being built at the former General Hospital. Work at the front of the site is pretty much the same as it was 2 weeks ago, so I'll pop round the back with the drone and see what's going on around there. So the building they started to demolish a few weeks back is getting into its final few floors of its demolition stage. When you zoom in, you can get a true aspect of the size of some of the concrete blocks that have been pulled down and are waiting to be crushed. Elsewhere across the area, there's still one small bit of a previous building to be demolished still standing. You can also see the remains of what used to be a corridor between buildings. Looking across the whole area, there's still quite a bit of demolition work to do before any building work can actually take place. And now just for a quick update on how the Tyne Bridge's restoration is going. Looking at this drone footage, you can see a section which has been completed, and there's a clear difference between the new and the old paintwork. Hopefully this will be fully completed for the bridge's 100th birthday in 2028. Now, onto the new project that might get underway to totally change probably the most run-down area of Newcastle city centre. Plans to create a £170 million project aiming to take Newcastle to new heights has been unveiled. Gameford Group, owner of the North East prime properties including the Vermont and County hotels, first snapped up the former Premier Inn building on New Bridge Street 6 years ago and launched straight into plans to transform the tired looking site. The Leisure, Care and Property Group was forced to pause the plans in the light of the pandemic, but began redrawing their proposals in 2022, teasing images of a huge 37-storey tower block combining a hotel, housing, a conference centre and a gym, as well as leisure venues. I think we can all agree that this part of the city centre is in desperate need of some regeneration. And now for a quick roundup of all the smaller projects going on in the city right now. Pavement improvement works are still continuing on the whole length of Northumberland Street. Work on the new Lloyds Bank is still in progress, with the paving nearly complete outside. Work on the restoration of the Northern Goldsmiths is still ongoing. The new Newcastle Building Society work should almost be complete as it opens in the summer. Restoration work on the buildings on Ellison Street is still ongoing, and work on the Granger Market restoration is still going on to change it into a cultural hub. The new cycle lane on Pilgrim Street is almost complete, with actual cycle markings now painted on. Work on the new Gotham Hotel, also on Pilgrim Street, is continuing. And finally, work on the city's second stack venue is still going on. This was supposed to open in May, but I cannot see it happening. So just before I wrap this week's video up, please let me know in the comments below your thoughts of all the projects going on in the city right now. Also, if you've liked the video, please give it a massive thumbs up as it really helps my channel grow. And if you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell notification for when I release more videos. A massive thank you for watching. See you next time on 55 Degrees North.